All right, today we're going to be talking about what your children's ministry can do like right now that will help you reach and keep new young families. Thanks for joining us here today at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com. Let's get going. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Howdy. Good to have you folks here. This is Mike Holmes in studio, and I am blessed to be able to spend some time by technology to spend a little bit of time with you as a pastor or a church leader to help you with some of these things that we have been doing here at our church and I've been teaching really across the nation and across our YouTube channel. A lot of this is just practical things that we have learned. We like to call them best practices. In other words, it's things we've seen in a lot of different places. Not all these things are originated with me, that's for sure, but a lot of it I've seen at other places, and then we brought it back and implemented it or had it implemented in one of our churches that we work with to see how it works. And some of these practices are just real simple things to do. They're not major philosophy changes. They're just practical things. And so we're going to be spending some time on helping you to find out some things you can do right away. It seems to be kind of what a lot of folks want. They want something kind of like, hey, what can I do this weekend? What can I do tomorrow? What can I do to kind of help start to reach new young families? I think we all know that we need to do that. And so we are just kind of put together, implemented a few different things. A couple of these are just real simple kind of schedule type changes. And one of them has to do with something that you would do in your morning service with the adults, but it has to do with the kids. So we'll get to that in just a moment. If you're new here, welcome to reachkeep.com. We have a website, do a lot of coaching, got a lot of YouTube videos, got a podcast called the Better Sundays Podcast, which is available on Google Play and Spotify and Apple and all the normal places. So go take a look at that and subscribe if you would. I'm Mike Holmes, the founding pastor at Sinclair Baptist, but really before that I've spent my entire ministry career involved in youth ministry and reaching families for the Lord. So it comes with a lot of experience here. I'm just going to kind of share some of those things that we've learned. Hope this is helpful to you. If we can help you personally in some way, I'll give you a little address here at the end that you can click on, a way that you can get connected with me, and we can spend some time talking about what your needs are. So we find that the Sunday morning service is kind of like the big kahuna, as they call it. It is sort of the centralized part of a local church. Everything kind of rises and falls on that. We would call it the front door of the church, but it's also the place where it mobilizes the volunteers. It gets people excited. It's kind of like the funnel, and from there, everything kind of falls together. We have a lot of different things that we do as churches, okay? Things throughout the week, things that we do seasonally, things that we do tied to, missions and all sorts of other, different Bible conferences and things like that. But just your Sunday morning service, that 52-week-a-year thing, that event that you have, and we like to look at it as an event, and we find that a lot of folks that look at it that way, it's not just a routine, and I know we want to create routine and habit, but we look at it as an event, and if we can do well at that, it seems like it ripples into the rest of the ministry. Now, every church that is inviting people to come on a regular Sunday morning also has some type of children's ministry of some sort, because people come as families, and sometimes we separate out and have kids in one place and adults in the other, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's sometimes we're all together, and nothing wrong with that. But while we're separate, those children ministry people actually live and minister in a different kind of world than Adultville over here, and so there's different kind of needs and things that have to be kind of taken care of or thought about. And I want to give you just some real practical things here that will help you. The first one really has to do with that your children's ministry would prioritize parenting. Okay, that's a easy one to remember. 2 P's, prioritize parenting. And this is the idea that the moms and dads are the ones that many of these verses are written to. You shall teach them when you walk and you sit down, when you go by the way, the Deuteronomy 6 thing, the Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go. Many of these are directed towards moms and dads. And we have substituted the local church in many places for moms and dads and kind of helping, and nothing wrong with, helping out kids that moms and dads don't bring into church, but we still need to keep a priority of the parents, because the parents are the ones that drive them there, get them there, send them there, get them dressed, ready to go there, that type of stuff. And we want to make sure that we understand and we honor God's order of kind of authority there. Moms and dads are the keys to a longevity of really good youth ministry. You can have a lot of bus ministry, pick up a lot of kids, but if you get the moms and dads, you're going to keep those kids for a much longer time and make a bigger difference in their life, because what is being taught in the church and in Sunday school will also then be taught in the home, and there'll be a level of consistency that needs to happen. The average church spends somewhere between 50 and 100 hours with a kid every year. They come every Sunday for a few hours here, a few hours there. They miss a bunch of Sundays. You get yourself about 100 hours worth of influence. The average parent gets about 3,000 hours of discretionary time. In other words, not school, not sleeping, but discretionary time. So it's 3,000 against, 100. And really, we need to make sure that we are investing in helping parents with that. So several things you can do, okay, and you can do it this Sunday, is make sure that those parents are better informed, okay? In other words, if they're getting some type of printed materials about what you're teaching, what is coming up, what the schedule's like, what some of the expectations are, make sure that parents are informed, okay? That's a very, very important thing. We also want to make sure that parents get invited and get to spend time with the kids and can come to special events that are designed for parents. We have found many of the churches that after the Sunday school, junior church is over, big service, however it works for you, the order of service, but parents go to the children area to pick up their kids, that they have made that a nice environment for parents to kind of hang around. They feel welcome there. They might even have the little coffee Keurig and a few things for the parents that are special, and maybe the children's ministry people are specifically talking to the parents and saying, hey, this is what we learned today, and here's a handout that your kid has, and here your kid colored this, or pull out their phone and go, hey, here's a picture of something your kid colored, or your kid was having fun today and I took a picture of it. But invite parents into the process, okay? So inform them, invite them, and then this last one is engage them, and this is where you're going to get them to activities. You're going to be giving them things to do at home. You're actually going to be spending time with parents and kind of reporting to them how their children are doing. Even if kids do not bring their parents to church, or parents and kids don't come together, make some time to go to the house and just say, hey, Mom and Dad, I know you don't make it all the time, or you can't make it much, but I wanted to tell you how little Billy's doing. He's been really good at this area and this area and this area, and praise that kid and give some information. And again, another time to, on your phone, to show some photos of the kids having fun, but you get those parents a little bit more engaged. There are times too that we like to invite parents, even the ones that are kind of on the edges a little bit, to come and be involved. So like we would say, hey, it's, and I remember this from Little League. My kids went to Little League, and they had, after every baseball game, the parents brought a little snack, a little thing of cookies or popsicles or whatever. And one day my wife was making cookies, and I'm like, oh, great cookies. And she said, keep your hands off. Those are for the kids. I'm like, what kids? I said, after the game today, I'm in charge of cookies for the whole Little League. It's like, wow, I didn't even know that was happening. But it's a great idea. It got parents, and so we went and gave cookies to all the baseball players in our little league thing that my kid was involved in. You can do things like that with parents and get them engaged. And as you start to schedule those things, you'll find that parents are like, want to hang around a little bit more. They ask some questions, but you are prioritizing parents. So make sure that you're taking time to do that. Now, the second one is really a simpler one, too. It take a little bit of a movement of people here and there, but you want to adjust your schedule a little bit different so that the following does not happen. And here's what happens in many churches. The adult service is going on. All the kids are like in a junior church or a Sunday school, and the minute that Sunday school is over, junior church is over, whatever or the minute the adult service is over, the kids are all released like a torrent of, whoosh, they go running to their parents, and, the thing is over. What that does, it sends a signal that the adult service is the most important service, and you have just been babysitting those kids. Now, we don't want to be known as just babysitters. We want to be character formers. We want to be people that are, directing these children. And the children's ministry itself is worthy of the parents bringing their kids to and hanging around and staying later for. So you can adjust your schedule by doing the following. You do not dismiss your junior church or your Sunday school or your nursery instantly and let the kids run back to their parents, okay? That is not the best thing to do. The couple reasons are, number one is that you want to hold those kids and keep them there so the parents understand that there's a separate program and that these kids are learning some things, and that maybe the parents have to wait a little bit for their kids, and it helps them to see the primacy of that teaching that you're doing. It's very important what you're doing. You're not just babysitting and then turning them loose. Also, when you hold those kids, it allows the adults to have a little bit of that time after the service, especially moms with babies, a little bit of kind of a respite time where they don't have to go pick their kid up right away. They don't have to have their kid coming and tugging on them and saying, let's go eat, Mom, I'm hungry, or whatever. They get a little bit of adult interaction. And that falls into one of these great common denominators of all churches that are reaching young families, is that they have a strong relational glue going on, a lot of relationships going on. And right after the service, if people can hang around and talk as adults with each other, that is a fantastic thing. Some of these parents, they got these kids, especially a single mom, she got these kids all the time. She hardly ever gets any time away from them, especially to talk to another adult. And so we don't dismiss the kids right away in successful churches. We hold those kids a little bit so that the parents respect that there's a program going on there. And believe me, they will, if they need to get their kid because they're leaving to get out of town, they can go get their kid. They know that. Okay, but they will hang around a little bit, and you're stretching your service. Now, what that means is your children's workers and your nursery people need to be informed that they don't just go when the adults go, but they go about 15 minutes longer, and they already know that they have to arrive about 15 minutes, 20 minutes earlier, too. So you're really stretching your services on both sides, okay? Your workers are coming a little bit early, and they're staying a little bit later, and it might take some scheduling. You might have to bring some relief people in there, get some teenagers to help, or lots of times with our kids program, we would do like review games at the very end, and then the parents, after the service, would hang around with the other adults, and after 15 minutes, they'd come over and pick up their kids. And we were still running a program. We were still running review games and doing something, but we had some of our teenagers do some of that. We had some people that would come out of the service and come over and help with that dismissal time. And just to get some extra bodies in there to kind of help with that area. So what you want to do is make sure that you are prioritizing the parenting aspect of things, and that you are running this, what I call a strong program that has its own schedule, and your workers are aware of that schedule. The last thing that you need to do, it really is kind of one of those best practices, and this one is, it has to do with something that's going to happen in the big service, but it's all about the little people, okay? So over in Adultville, we'll call it, you got the pastor and the preacher and the choir, and you got all that stuff, and all the kids are over there, and sometimes never the two shall meet. Well, what typically happens is moms and dads, that come to visit a church for the first time, they bring their kids, and those kids will sit with them and not go off into some special program. They'll sit with them. Also, many of the people sitting there know other children, and so what you want to do is in your adult service expose people to the children's ministry and show that it is valuable to you. And let me give you 3 simple ways you can do this. The very first one has to do with just what we call handouts. We have children's-based handouts that are kind of devotional-based things, and it has like 4 different days of having daily devotions. And during our handshaking time, we have some people hand those out to all the moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and people that have kids. And it is something that you take home and have devotions with your kids. We don't give them to kids to give them to the adults. We give them to the adults and tell them to have devotions with their kids. Again, this is prioritizing the parenting and helping moms and dads to have a tool. Okay, you become a resource here now. Have a tool to be a devotional leader in their family. So it's just a handout, and you can create them. You can just put a few Bible verses and correspond them with your sermons, or just pick a psalm and break it down or whatever. It's not hard to make something like that, and try to have your families do devotions. We have a goal 4 times a week where they would read the Bible with their kids 4 times a week, and they would read those verses, and you hand that out, but you hand that out in the adult time. The next thing that we try to do is have the senior pastor make mention of what the children are being trained in that particular week. So the example of how this would be is, the pastor would be like, right before he preaches, he would say, hey, before, we turn to, the book of Hosea and get into our message here, I want to let you know what your kids are doing today, okay? They are doing X, Y, Z. And you talk about that. And by the way, next Saturday, the children will be going on the field trip and doing the day camp thing that we've been talking about. Make sure your kids are there. When a pastor makes an announcement at that level, and when he makes it right before he preaches, it puts a lot of oomph in it. It's not just something you stick in a bulletin or throw in with the rest of the announcements. It's something that you prioritize. And the pastor often can add a few things. So he'll say, today your kids are learning, to walk by faith and not by sight. And so what we would like for you to do as moms and dads is teach them how to walk by faith. And you, as moms and dads, lead your family to be a faith-filled family and not to always be doing things that you can see and get all figured out, but you would take time to pray. You would take time to serve. You would take time to give. You would do some things that are faith-oriented. So your kids are learning that in our Sunday school. They'll get 30, 40 minutes of that where they'll be taught that, but if you can teach them that at home, that is much better, and that adds to it. And we all work together to help these kids grow in the Lord. So now let's turn to Hosea and you get on with your preaching. So that is another way that you can do that. The other way that is really pretty easy to do is to have your children and your kids' programs, whether it is a junior church or Sunday school, however, but from time to time, and we recommend at least you do this once a month, you can even do it more, where the kids will come into the service or they will already be in the service and they will stand up and sing a special number. The wise man built his house upon the rock, or deep and wide, or, something like that. If you don't have a song or you're not good at songs, just the kids will stand up and say a verse out loud. Parents love to see their children on a stage. When a kid is on a stage, people love it. And all the adults that don't have kids, they're paying attention like, hey, our kids are on stage. Hey, our kids are doing something. Hey, those children ministers are doing things. And then when you talk about it and you say we need volunteers or we need money or we need helpers at this level, people see the fruit of that. And so this is a great way to help reach young families right away by simply having, from time to time, children coming up and saying verses or giving a song of some sort. And it doesn't have to be professional. I know some churches have really sharp, special music programs, and I like that. But sometimes it makes the bar so high that the practical stuff doesn't get done. And pastor, sometimes you got to say, we'll keep a high bar here for our, whatever, our specials and all that. But you know what? We're going to get these kids kids up here because we know that people love people who love kids. And folks, let me say something. If you love children and you show that, and that is expressed in your ministry and your handouts and all these prioritizing of parents and the schedule stuff, when people see that you love children and you love families and your goal is to create flourishing families, they will flock to your church, okay? They will fill up your chairs and fill up your pews because they're getting what they need. People want to raise their kids in a wholesome environment. They want their kids to have character. They want their kids to grow up doing the right things. And our churches can be that tremendous help to do that. When we make that obvious, that's when people say, that's my kind of church. And that's how your children's ministry can make an influence and help you reach new young families right now. Those simple things that we talked about. If this has been helpful for you, or if you need a little bit more of a tweak on one of these ideas, or how do you do it like that, please go to reachkeep.com. And on the top of our page, there's a green bar, and you can click on that, and it'll bring up a scheduler, and I will get to spend time with you talking on the phone and sharing with you some of the things we've seen at other churches, whether you're a big church, a small church, a rural church, a city church. We service them all. We've been involved in all of them. And if you love the Lord and really are wanting to reach, children of your area, please click on the things, schedule a meeting, whether you are a pastor, a leader, a Sunday school teacher, nursery. I talked to a nursery worker the other day. I love talking to nursery workers, just how to improve their nursery. So anyway, love to chat with you. Go to reachkeep.com, click on the green bar, and we'll get you going. You can always get in touch with me at info@reachkeep.com. and ask me any kind of question as well. So I appreciate you taking time to be with us here. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the like button, all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions, you can put them right below in the notes, and I'll take a look at them. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. But thanks for being with us here today at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com.